Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris of the Channel 5 News. The headlines: the Prime Minister reconfigures cabinet, taking up the important housing portfolio from his new Deputy Prime Minister Reginald Austrie. Roseau Central MP Joseph Isaac joins a new look Labour cabinet as Minister for Environment and Climate Resilience. And the Roosevelt Douglas and St. Mary's Primary Schools are through to Friday's football finals. The details of the news coming up.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fenced pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
First stop in the news, the former opposition MP for Roseau Central, Joseph Isaac, will form part of a new look cabinet announced by the Prime Minister Tuesday night. Isaac, who just last week announced he was going independent, will be the new Minister for Environment, Climate Resilience, Disaster Management and Urban Renewal. While he has not yet officially joined the Labour Party, Isaac takes up his office as a new minister in the Labour government effective Thursday. Isaac has deferred comment until he is sworn in.
Honorable Joseph Isaac made known last week his decision to become an independent member of Parliament. I met with Honorable Isaac on my return to Dominica last Thursday, and I discussed with him and his delegation from the constituency of Roseau Central their plans and vision going forward. In my statement last Wednesday, I made known my intention to foster a meaningful working relationship with Honorable Isaac, as he had expressed a desire to adopt a more open and objective attitude and approach to the issue of governance in the country and the policies and programs of the government. Consequent upon our meeting last Thursday, and after consultation with senior members of the government and the governing Dominica Labour Party, I subsequently contacted Mr. Isaac and extended to him an invitation to serve in the government of Dominica in the capacity as a Minister of Government. Honorable Isaac has not at this point joined the Dominica Labour Party, but he has satisfied me of his focus in wanting to help the people of Roseau Central and to put his skills and services at the disposal of the government in the building of the new Dominica.
Mr. Skerritt has given the rationale for the climate resilience portfolio, saying the environment and disaster mitigation matters require the full-time attention of a member of cabinet. Meantime, the Prime Minister and Minister for Finance will take on investments and lands as well as housing, which he believes is a priority in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria. For the first time, Dominica will have a Deputy Prime Minister in the person of Reginald Austrie, who will take on agriculture, food and fisheries and act in the absence of the Prime Minister. Johnson Drago will hold the portfolio of Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Lands, while Dr. Colin McIntyre takes over Public Works, Water Resource Management and Ports. Senator Miriam Blanchard goes to Planning and Economic Development, and Senator Robert Tongue, Tourism and Culture. Meantime, the reshuffling of cabinet also brings into view a new portfolio within the Ministry of Family and Gender Affairs, that of Ecclesiastical Affairs, a first for Dominica. Prime Minister Skerritt says the idea is to forge stronger ties between government and the church and to help it re-establish itself as a deterrent to crime and other social ills.
This is a direct response to the calls by many for a much deeper incorporation of Christian values and principles into every walk of life, including, but not limited to, the functioning of government, and especially in the everyday management and operation of our schools. There will be a Minister of Ecclesiastical Affairs, and that person's remit shall involve the strengthening of relations with the church, as well as the incorporation of religious studies and programs into all facets of the society, not least of which will be our schools. I strongly believe that much of today's crime and other antisocial behavior stems from a real and perceived dumbing down of the role and involvement of the church and related institutions in nurturing values and influencing lifestyles and attitudes.
Ministers whose portfolios remain pretty much the same include Ian Douglas, Rayburn Blackmore, Senator Francine Barron, Peter Saint-Jean, Rosalind Paul, Kelva Daru, Kenneth Daru, Cassius Daru and Justina Charles. The Attorney General remains in place and Ivor Stevenson retains his post of Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Social Services. A local political scientist says based on his interpretation, Joseph Isaac's decision to cross the floor is a joint strategy with the Prime Minister to help the country. Idona John Baptist reports.
Joseph Isaac's move to the government side as an opposition parliamentarian is not the first of its kind from a member of the United Workers' Party. Lauren Bannis-Roberts, then parliamentary representative for the Cassie Bruce constituency, and Julius Timothy, then parliamentary representative of Roseau North, both crossed the floor to the Labour Party during their stint with the UWP. The way political scientist Dr. Donald Peters sees it, Isaac wanted to help his constituency, coming from a party without any resources.
And it's hard to be a politician or businessman sitting in a party that just talks. So it appears that he made the decision to move. If I were the Prime Minister, I'd try to certainly welcome him and get him to move across to the other side, to the Labour Party, which is what he did. So I think all in all, in terms of the strategy, both Prime Minister Skerritt and Minister Isaac, that they did what they felt was necessary to help the country. As Minister Isaac put it, country first. True, it's historical in the speed at which it was done, but it's not the first time people have crossed the floor. But it's, in most instances, if you look at the history of people moving across the floor, it has always led to development of the government's programs.
Peters, who's worked with the administrations of Gaston Brown in Antigua and Grenada's Keith Mitchell, says there is wisdom in creating new ministerial portfolios and reshuffling the cabinet to speed up service delivery.
If you look at what we are experiencing now, it's a very mammoth task for the government. The hurricane in the recovery mode is expensive. A lot of people did not have insurance. Government has taken responsibility to help them. The infrastructure have to develop. Systems have to be developed and working. Who's going to do the work? So what he did is actually strengthen his cabinet.
Isaac's entry into the executive branch increases the slate of cabinet members to 19. The size of Skerritt's cabinet has always been an issue for the UWP. Looking in the CARICOM region, Jamaica has 23, Barbados 20, Guyana and Trinidad 28, while St. Lucia has 15 cabinet members, Grenada 14, Antigua 11, and St. Kitts 8. Peters pointed out that from a business standpoint, the Prime Minister, as a CEO, needs more people on the ground to effectively run his government.
He needs more people in his cabinet to take on more responsibility, and that's exactly what he's done. He's assessed what his cabinet has been doing and moved people to strategic areas where he can get most help for his dollar. So far, government has a lot of resources that Prime Minister Skerritt has found funds to get, but it's not getting to the people at the speed that he'd like. And I certainly feel that he made that decision in order to boost his capacity to resolve some of our developing issues.
Joseph Isaac will assume his role as Minister of Environment, Climate Resilience, Disaster Management and Urban Renewal on Thursday. Idona John Baptist, Channel 5 News.
And leader of the Dominica Freedom Party, Kent Vital, has a different view about Joseph Isaac since the cabinet reshuffle, questioning his integrity in crossing the floor.
Last week, while commenting on Isaac's announcement to go independent, DFP leader Kent Vital did not see an issue, saying it was Isaac's democratic right to do so. However, since Isaac's decision to become a government minister, Vital says his initial interpretation of the situation was mistaken.
Initially, I thought it was just a simple decision by the gentleman to choose to associate with whoever he wants to, choose to represent the people independently. I originally thought it was just something genuine. But when I started hearing all of the real stories, I'm like, wow, this is just something else. But the truth is that if all the explanations given by Mr. Joseph and all the explanations given by the current government, I don't think there's anybody in Dominica who believes it, not even the laborites.
Vital's view is that the Isaac government partnership was being discussed long before Isaac's announcement to leave the United Workers' Party.
Within a week, let's say, you are now being announced as a minister. Now, there's nothing in that in itself. There's nothing wrong with the Prime Minister, the government deciding to appoint someone into the cabinet, someone who once belonged to opposition party. There's nothing wrong in that in itself. But the issue is the deceitfulness, the attempt to say to people, I'm going to represent you independently, that for the next 2 years, as I think he had put it, the attempt by the government and the people who sell the government's propaganda to turn this around, all the explanations given, and for an attempt to show as if because Mr. Isaac made the decision that the Prime Minister only now decided to talk to him. That's the impression given. Only now decided to talk to him and is satisfied with his willingness to contribute and has therefore offered him a position. Who believes that? Not anyone I have spoken to in Dominica, laborites or not, believe that story. It's clear that this was something long in the making. This was something that was being discussed for a while.
Minister in the Labour government, Justina Charles, has described as bittersweet her last official act as Minister for Culture. This follows the announcement of a cabinet reshuffle by Prime Minister Skerrit on Tuesday night. Mrs. Charles made the remarks on her final stint as a cultural minister when she addressed the launching of DomFesta 2018 on Wednesday.
As the minister responsible for culture, as has been said, this is maybe my last public address or my last address as a minister. I am heartened to be here. It's a mixed feeling though that I am here this morning. This morning I said, should I or should I not go? But you know, Mr. Lawrence will keep me busy to make sure that I am here, and I am happy to be here.
Charles said the coupling of culture with tourism will work well to augment Dominica's cultural product.
We must now see, bringing the synergies together, how this can help with the cultural tourism. Because the Ministry of Tourism is doing tremendous work in promoting Dominica, in promoting all what Dominica has to offer, and culture is no exception. And so they will probably just do it on a wider scale to go out there and promote our culture. Also, bringing the two together, we have probably better management of our limited resources. Because with the cultural division and with tourism, everybody had an independent budget. But then we can piggyback. The culture can piggyback on tourism and make it stretch.
Minister for Tourism Robert Tong says he's looking forward to the addition of the culture portfolio to help boost both industries.
I am fully committed as your new Minister of Tourism and Culture. As everyone has said, the two of them can work very positively together. People come to Dominica not only to admire and to partake in our natural attractions, they also come for the people. They also come for the culture. They also come to experience the heritage. Many times we only see culture at specific times of the year, and by working with tourism, I think we can improve on that, especially when we have visitors coming to our shores, when we have the cruise ship coming to our shores. We have Carnival Cruise Lines that are scheduled to come in July, and we look forward to having this amazing welcome for all the cruise ships when they come in, so especially persons who are not employed. We need to work together to come up with some type of program to welcome them when they come. We've started, but I think with your involvement, it can only get a lot better.
You are watching Channel 5 News. More news coming up.
If you're HIV positive or have an STI, having unprotected sex with multiple partners puts them in grave danger. You'll expose every partner and their present and future partners to HIV or another STI. Use a condom every time you have sex. You can live a productive life even if diagnosed with HIV. Remember, early detection is key to your survival. Be responsible, protect yourself and others. Help stop the spread of HIV and other STIs.
Thank you for staying with us. DomFesta 2018 has officially been launched with a $61,000 budget. The events will kick off with the Miss Teen Dominica pageant on April 14, followed by the launching of a Jinping documentary on April 18, and the first ever Point Michel Cultural Showcase on the 29th of April. DomFesta 2018 is being held under the theme Rebuilding and Rebounding Through the Arts.
As we know, culture and the arts have a very important part to play in the rebuilding process of any country. They help to promote the talents and skills of our people. They provide opportunities for earning income through the cultural industries. They promote heritage and cultural tourism. They help to build community spirit and community togetherness. They help to heal wounds and raise the spirits of the population. They help to energize and encourage the population in any country, and they help to build unity, peace, love, and understanding in any country.
Other highlights of DomFesta 2018 include the DomFesta Art Exhibition, DomFesta Explosion, and the DomFesta Song Contest.
We understand the importance of culture in even helping people post those disasters, where it helps to pay attention, probably helps in our psychological rebuilding and revitalization and bringing us back in line. Also, it helps us with our own social development and helping being able to cope and to deal with the circumstances with which we were faced. And culture, while some people may see it as just, a personal thing, but culture is very significant in that aspect. Granted that our venues were affected, our House of Culture, Old Mill, all of those venues were affected by the storm, but thank God at least we are still able to use here, and there is quite a bit of work to be done to bring it back to our pre-Maria state.
DomFesta celebrations run from the 14th of April to the 2nd of June. And it's official, there will not be a Miss Dominica 2018 pageant this year. Andrea Louis tells us more.
At the launching of Miss Dominic celebrations in January, the Miss Dominica pageant did not make it onto the calendar of activities. Authorities said there was potential for the show to be held in April. However, this decision would be communicated to the media at a later date. During an interview with the Channel 5 News, Minister for Tourism Robert Tong revealed that upon further discussion, it was decided to cancel the staging of the Miss Dominica pageant this year.
Unfortunately, as a result of the Hurricane Maria, the event was cancelled, and as a result of that, obviously it impacts on our representation for the year. So we don't have a winner for this year, so obviously we can't participate in any of the activities this year, because obviously in order to participate you have to have a current winner. So what we're doing right now is to try and prepare for the following year and make sure that we are ready.
As regards another flagship event of the Tourism Ministry, namely the Jazz and Creole event, which is usually scheduled to coincide with the Pentecost weekend, that too has not been confirmed. Minister Tang says there is no official word yet on the hosting of this event, as a team from the DDA is currently assessing the Jazz and Creole product, which might be staged in a different format later this year.
In terms of Jazz and Creole has always been a great event, but our role in the Ministry of Tourism is to attract people to Dominica. The event has always been an event where persons come from within Dominica and go to the event, and that's not our primary goal. So we have tasked the Festivals Commission to prepare a revised document that will allow us to have an event that will attract people to come to Dominica. And it has to be more than just one day to truly attract an individual to Dominica. So is your friend from Guadeloupe and Martinique or Antigua or Barbados going to come down for one day? highly unlikely. However, will they come down for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event? More likely. So we've pushed them to present a plan that can encompass something of that nature, make it as local as possible. So I'm hoping that they get back to me as quickly as possible so we can take it back to the cabinet for approval.
So no Jazz and Creole this year?
So I am hoping that we will still have it, but at a later date.
The initial date for Jazz and Creole 2018 was 20th May. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
And a community leader has commended government for approving relocation for some Good Hope residents. However, he's reminding the authorities that the entire area remains vulnerable. Idona John Baptist reports.
Chairperson of the Good Hope Village Council, Achille Grove, is justifying his position based on the level of impact the eastern community suffered from Tropical Storm Erika in 2015 and Hurricane Maria last year. Grove says government has committed to building new homes for residents living in vulnerable areas coming out of assessments.
For some people, they're definitely not going to rebuild for them in the same areas that they had their houses. So that is a step in the right direction for some people. They are definitely going to be moved, and the power up, the government is saying, we are going to give you a house, but it will be either in Castle Bruce or in Saint-Sauveur, and I think that's a good thing. They're talking about a couple high-rises in Saint-Sauveur and one in Castle Bruce. So I want to say a good, maybe 25% of the population will probably get a chance to live. Although people still don't want to leave, you know, because I mean they have that love for the community. But I think it would be in the best interest to move if the government wants to move them.
13 people are still seeking shelter at the Good Hope Resource Center. Grove says they will be the first batch of beneficiaries to be moved to new housing at Castle Bruce and Saint-Sauveur when it is completed.
At the resource center currently we have about 5 persons there who just cannot go back to where they were because their houses are just flat down, and even if they would try to build something themselves, they cannot afford it. So these are persons who will definitely be moved to either Saint-Sauveur or Castle Bruce. Some of the people who have returned to their homes, they made a special effort to go back because the resource center, the shelter, is a little bit, it's not comfortable. Some of them have built small shacks, some of them have in the same area, but it is not safe. Some of them have covered the houses again with the same old galvanage. There are some people who actually should really be at the shelter, but they made that effort. They went home, they're on the tent. And if you see some of the people who are on the tents, I mean, there is one particular lady who has a young little girl going to high school, and she choose to go under a tent instead of coming to the shelter.
And you feel that's not a secure...
And I don't think that's a secure situation, but the government is looking at helping those persons very soon with housing.
While Grove says the issue of relocation of residents is a developing matter, he says the authorities should also consider the entire community is unsafe.
There have been much discussion with the government at town hall meetings. But like you know, after Erika, that was a big concern, but attention was being placed on some other communities. After Hurricane Maria, you had quite a few agencies, non-governmental organizations, the Red Cross. They came and they spoke to a number of people. So I'm thinking that several reports have been made. If you really look at Good Hope in general, the whole place is just vulnerable. But some areas are more vulnerable than the other. You're looking at, if you look at the Cochrane area, that is where after Erika we had a landslide coming down there and taking 3 lives. So quite a few people there have been recommended to move. And there's in the Point area, that is on top of the sea over there, landslides, and to be quite honest with you, Good Hope really need to be relocated completely.
And stakeholders in the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries came together Wednesday for the 2018 FAO Accountability Seminar. In 2015, FAO and the Ministries of Agriculture in the Caribbean held consultations to develop the country programming frameworks for the period 2016 to 2019. The FAO uses the CPF as a tool for medium-term priority setting in the country. It's an agreement between the FAO and the governments of the respective countries on areas of potential collaboration to advance national development. The accountability seminar is important as it helps the FAO evaluate its work over the past 2 years in implementing the CPF. Dominica's CPF was signed in 2015 and implementation began in January 2016.
It allows us to plan for the coming biennium so that we improve our delivery. As the name suggests, it holds us accountable to the government of Dominica and more specifically the Ministry of Agriculture and other stakeholders in the food and agriculture sector to ensure that we respond to your demands, provided they are reasonable, of course, and within our mandate, using our resources efficiently for the good of the farmers, fisherfolk, livestock producers, processors, foresters, and other stakeholders in the food and agriculture sector in Dominica. Because food and agriculture is not just field production, it's what happens until the food reaches the consumer. So all of that we take into consideration. All this while taking, and going forward to the work that we are going to be doing in Dominica needs to take into consideration the devastating impacts of Hurricane Maria.
Another important aspect of the accountability seminar is the information presented on the resources that are available for implementation.
We urge you to be strategic in selecting the priorities and be innovative in seeking solutions to your problems. For FAO, it is important that you select projects that are likely to have big impact and move the figures related to Sustainable Development Goals on hunger, malnutrition, obesity, and poverty. Again, taking into consideration climate change and resilience.
One of the main presentations at Wednesday's function was on FAO's regional priorities for the Caribbean. That's the Channel 5 News. Your sports highlights next with Kenny Williams.
Do you need more cash for that home improvement? Then come to Fast Cash, where we give you more. At Fast Cash, our customers get more funds and more time to repay. But wait, can't come to us? We'll come to you, and our mobile officer will get you on your way. Small businesses, consumers, and taxi owners. Fast Cash has more for everyone. Simply call or visit any of our locations for more. Smarter, faster, better. Fast Cash. Terms and conditions apply.
In football, Dominica's national coach says the senior men's team is looking forward to exact their revenge on Canada in the upcoming CONCACAF competition in September. In their last encounter, Dominica went down to Canada 2-0. As a result, the squad is now eager to see how they will fare against that team, since their game has improved under the leadership of Lachu.
Right now, well, you know they won Canada. You know they won Canada bad. You know, and I could see their readiness and willingness. The good news is now where they're at in their program. So we had a little more strength work done. So then the strength endurance will come along the way. And then we have players now playing with teams outside. That started here. And we hope now after the Antigua game, we have more players playing outside so they'll get exposed.
One of Lachu's goals is to have the members on the senior men's team be full-time athletes.
And they probably now they will have to work and then come and play football in the evening. Football could be the job. So that now will put us on par or at least close to our opponents, because our opponents, they have all their players are full-time players. It's not nobody in working and then coming in the evening to train. So our guys are at a disadvantage, and we're hoping as we go along it will improve where these guys could just commit themselves to football so that they could improve, so they could make Dominica proud.
We continue with this item where national long jumper Mariah Toussaint failed to move on to the next round of the women's long jump event at the Commonwealth Games on Tuesday. The overseas-based athlete found the going tough as she only managed to jump 5.67 meters to finish in 9th place in Zone A, a mark way below her personal best. She jumped 5.64 on her first attempt, 5.57 in the second, and 5.67 on her third and final attempt. However, the automatic qualifying mark was 6.60 meters, and the top 12 jumpers qualified for the finals. Mariah finished in 18th position.
For today, I feel like I actually did jump really well after reviewing some of the jumps that I did, and I just wasn't able to get the right technique. I've been trying a new approach for the past 3 weeks, so I feel like I was able to do that at practice, but then kind of when I went back to the meets, I kind of reverted a little bit back to what I used to know. So it's just something that I have to look forward to changing when I go into later meets later on. I was very upset with the results. Even though they aren't that bad, I had a lot of good takeaways from it. You just have to see what was wrong, go through, and then fix it for the next thing. Especially because I have meets coming up later that are going to be in the States, and hopefully some more international meets in the future.
Tuse says despite her disappointing showing at the Games, she must commend the Dominica Olympic Committee for the part they played in her preparation for the Games.
Well, they gave a lot of good funding and a lot of good advice to me and helping out with trying to get us all with our visas on time and everything like that. So I feel like the Dominica Olympic Committee did a really good job. They got us all here pretty much as fast as we would allow, our coaches would allow us to. Like for me, I was here for the 3 weeks. So I felt like that really helped prepare me to get to where I needed to be. With the funding that they gave, I was able to, you know, get massaging back home or to get different supplements that I needed. And although I wasn't able to hit the results that I wanted, I know that in the future I can be able to, you know, do better with what they've given me.
Back with more football, where head of Dominica Football Association has hinted the organization's intent to renew the national coach's 2-year contract when it ends in 2019. The DFA president expressed satisfaction with the results and says Lachu has the required skill set that helps bring out the best in the players. Lachu has been with the local football family since March 2017, and under his leadership, the senior men's team has gone undefeated in all outside games so far. Meantime, the Roosevelt Douglas and the St. Mary's primary schools have booked spots in the final of the Sports Division Football Championship on Tuesday. They did so in their respective semi-final matches played at Benjamin's Park. RDPS defeated Atkinson Lighthouse Academy combined 8-1. SMP also beat Calabishi Primary in a penalty shootout after the scores were 2-all at regulation and extra time. The final is scheduled for April 13 at Windsor Park Sports Stadium and will be preceded by the third-place match between the losing semi-finalists. And on the netball scene, we can tell you that Dominica celebrated their first win in the 2018 Jean-Pierre Caribbean Youth Tournament on Wednesday. Following a series of losses, Dominica got a boost of confidence when they dominated play against St. Vincent and the Grenadines with scores 20-14. In the first quarter, the scores were locked at 3 apiece. The teams went on to score 7-8, tie 12-all, and 20-14 in the final quarter. However, Dominica's lone moment of celebration was short-lived when they fell to Jamaica 38-14. The quarter scores were 4-8, 9-16, 12-26, and 14-38. For Jamaica, K. Jonas 17 out of 21, T. Redwood 14 out of 18, and T. Hunter 7 out of 8. In a losing effort for Dominica, Ethelene Telemac netted 10 from 19 attempts, and Janila Phillip 4 from 5. That's all the sporting highlights for now. I am Kenny Williams. Join us next time.
M&J Covering is the producer of Designed Galvanized and Galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001 275-5003 today.
To end the news, the headlines again. Prime Minister Skerrit reconfigures cabinet, taking up the important housing portfolio from his new Deputy Prime Minister Reginald Austrie. Roseau Central MP Joseph Isaac joins the new Luke Labour cabinet as Minister for Environment and Climate Resilience. And the Roosevelt Douglas and St. Mary's primary schools are through to Friday's football finals. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.